Hi, everyone. Good evening. I hope everyone's doing amazing. Happy Thursday. I don't know what about you guys, but my week has just gone by so fast. I actually cannot believe it's Thursday. So I hope everyone feels the same and you guys had a great week. I'm Immigration Attorney Yael Brudner, coming to you guys live on Facebook and on YouTube. My office is located in Southern California, in Irvine, California, Orange County. However, we serve clients from all over the United States and around the world. We practice immigration law exclusively, so we only take immigration cases. So if you're here, welcome. We're really happy to see you here. Thank you for joining our live. Today, I'm going to be answering your immigration questions. If you have any questions and you want to ask them live, please feel free to write them here in the comments and I will get to them as I see them. Sometimes I don't see the questions. If I don't get to your question live, I promise you that I will respond later. Okay, and if you're watching the recording of this, then you can still write down a question and I will respond as I see it. Okay. And just a quick disclaimer that this is general information. This is not legal advice, meaning I'm just going to give a general answer. If you want a specific answer for your specific case, then I recommend to reach out and schedule a consultation with me. The number goes here on the screen. You can call. You can call right now. We do have people on the phones ready if you want to call and schedule a consultation right now. Okay. So, are you guys ready to jump into some cool immigration questions? We got a bunch this week from you guys, so thank you for sending me questions this week. I did pick the top, I don't know, 10 questions I think that would be interesting. Again, if you are watching right now and you want to ask a question live, have a conversation with me now, I'm happy to do it. So write your question and I will answer it live. Okay. Okay, and if you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get more interesting immigration information. Okay, so I'm ready. I hope you are. Let's go to the first question. So can you explain the difference between marriage visa and fiance visa? Okay, so this is a super common question. It really comes up for couples that are engaged. One of the couple is a U.S. citizen in the United States. The other one is not a U.S. citizen, was not born in the U.S. They're from a different country, and they are looking into different options or Googling, and they want to know what's better. Should they get married? Should they do the fiance visa? What's better? So in this situation, really, both fiance visa and marriage visa will result in the same thing. They'll both result in the foreign national receiving a green card in the United States, generally speaking, right? It just logistically will look different. So if we start with the fiance visa, the fiance visa is really a visa for folks that are engaged, they're not married yet, and the purpose of this visa is for the foreign national to be able to come to the United States for the purpose of getting married to their US citizen spouse. Okay, so the process starts with the petition here in the United States and then by the US citizen, and then the foreign national will go to an interview at the US embassy or consulate in their home country, and there they would get their fiance visa. The visa will only be valid for 90 days, and then they can come into the United States, and they must get married within 90 days. That's literally the condition of their visa, that they have to get married to the same person that petitioned them within 90 days. And then only then can they apply for their green card. Okay, so once they're here in the United States, then they need to apply for their green card, and that's another process for probably another year here in the US. So that's the fiance visa. The marriage visa, right? Usually, marriage visa is kind of like slang, but it's the immigrant visa process based on marriage. It really is the same process for the fiance visa. starts with a petition here, and then the foreign national will go to an interview at their home country. But at their interview, they won't get a 90-day visa. They will get an immigrant visa, meaning they will get a visa for the purpose of immigrating to the United States. And they can only do this because they are married already to a US citizen, right? And when you have an immigrant visa, it's very different than a fiance visa. Immigrant visa allows you to enter the United States as an immigrant for immigrant reasons. And once you are in the United States and the officer stamps your passport indicating that you're here, that means that you're already a resident from that moment. Okay, so you can see that the fiance visa process and the immigrant visa process, looks the same, right? But the difference is that when you get here to the United States as an immigrant, you don't need to go through another process here in the United States. You don't need to file for what's called an adjustment of status. Okay, you don't need to file for your green card in the United States. So the immigrant visa process is shorter to get the green card. It used to be that the fiance visa process is shorter to get to the United States, which sometimes is like the most important thing for people. Like, I want to get here as soon as possible. But the fiance visa right now is taking the same amount of time as the immigrant visa based on marriage. So, depending on your circumstances, some people can't get married. They can't physically get married. Then we would recommend the fiance visa. So it really does depend on your specific situation. And for each couple, it's really different, right? It goes down to your own preference, and there's pros and cons for each one, marriage-based or the fiance visa, okay? So we have a lot of consultations like this, where we go over the process more in detail. We go through fiance visa in detail. We go through a marriage visa-based immigrant process in detail. We talk about timeframes, prices, cost, plus and minuses. And at the end of the day, people just decide what's better for them, what works better for them. So I hope I explained that question. If you want to get more personal information, just reach out to us and we can evaluate your situation. Okay, perfect. Let's jump to the next one. If you're here, thank you so much for joining. Feel free to write your questions on the comments if you have any. Okay, how long do I need to wait after I get married to apply for the green card? This is also a great question. You do not need to wait any amount of time after you get married. So once you get married, then you can, if you qualify, you can apply for your green card, right? If you are here in the United States, you're married to a United States citizen, then technically you can apply right away. There's no regulation or law that says that you have to specifically wait a certain amount of time. Now, saying that, this is general information, and specifically, sometimes for some people, it is recommended to wait a little bit to apply. So, for example, if you're here on let's say a tourist visa or a student visa, or any other temporary kind of visa, that's a non-immigrant one, then, and you just entered the United States and you got married, then usually we do recommend to wait a certain amount of time. Usually, if you can wait 90 days, that would be ideal, because you don't want to file to adjust your status from a non-immigrant, a temporary status, to a green card very quickly after you just entered the United States. Because if you just entered the United States on a temporary kind of visa, you basically were telling the US government, I'm coming in for temporary purposes, for a visit, for a student, for, different reasons. And you don't want it to be perceived as if you had a preconceived intent to actually use your tourist visa, student visa, work visa, actually to file for residency. Okay, so we recommend in certain situations to wait 90 days before you file, but again, it doesn't apply to everyone. So if you want to know about your case, reach out to us and we can talk specifically about your situation. And generally speaking, there's no minimum amount of time that you need to wait. Okay. Okay. Let me pick another great question. Okay. I received a request for evidence asking for the medical exam. Does that mean I will not have an interview? Okay, so if you have a pending green card case, adjustment of status, meaning you filed Form 485 with USCIS and you've been waiting a while and you get a letter from them saying that please send us your medical examination. That is generally a good sign, right? It's a good sign, first of all, that your case is coming along because the medical examination usually, generally, is one of the last things that the officer that's adjudicating or that's deciding on your case reviews. It is required to get a green card. So you need to have that medical examination. So if you didn't submit your medical examination with your application and now your application is in front of an officer and they're reviewing your case, then the officer can't make a decision without this medical, so they'll send you a request for evidence asking for the medical examination. Now, why is this usually a good sign? Because that means that most likely the officer does not intend to call you for an interview because traditionally folks are called for interviews for green cards, and that's where they can submit their medical if they have not yet. So the fact that the officer took the time to issue a request for evidence for this medical is generally a good sign. However, it's not set in stone. So you might still be called for an interview, even if you submit the medical, but fingers crossed for you that you won't have an interview and that your green card would be approved without it. There's nothing like the feeling of getting a green card in the mail when you're least expected. Honestly, it's like unbelievable kind of mail to get, right? So not that an interview is a bad thing. You know, many people can pass interviews and most people pass their green card interviews, but it's always nice to not have to go. Okay, perfect. Okay, let me jump to the next question. How do I know if I will get a 2-year green card or a 10-year green card? Okay, so 2 years or a green card or 10 years. So traditionally, this is relevant for marriage-based cases. If you are getting your green card based on a marriage to a green card holder or to a US citizen, then the validity of your green card, if it's a 2-year green card or a 10-year green card, will depend on how long your marriage is, how long you've been married for. Okay, and they decide this at the day of the adjudication. So if at the day that an officer is deciding on your case, you have been married for less than 2 years, then you will receive a 2-year green card. If at the day that the officer is deciding on your case and issuing you the green card, you're married for 2 years or more, you'll get a 10-year green card. And it's a big difference because the 2-year green card is not just an expiration date, it's actually a conditional green card. So that means that your green card is only valid for 2 years. And prior to the 2 years, you have to file a petition to remove the conditions on your green card. And it's like another petition, like a green card petition, like the one you just filed. Immigration wants to know what's going on with you and your petitioner. Are you guys still married? And if not, are you divorced? Or is there another reason why you're not together anymore? Traditionally, you have to file the removal of conditions together with your spouse jointly. But if something happened to your relationship or you're already divorced, and there's also an option to file for it by yourself to waive that joint filing. So 2 years or 10 years, right? If you get the 2 years, that means you were married for less than 2 years at the time they gave you your green card, and you have another process you have to file to remove the conditions on your green card at least 90 days before that 2-year expiration. And if you got a 10-year green card, it's good. You're good for 10 years. And you can, just file for naturalization if you're interested after 3 or 5 years. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Uh, Maria has a question. I've been married for 15 years with a US citizen. Will it take long for a petition? Thank you so much for your question, Maria. Thank you for jumping on our live show here. Can you give me some information about your situation? Are you in the United States? Are you abroad? Um, what's your situation? And if you are here in the United States, how did you last enter? That would help me give you an estimate of the time that your case will take. And you're in the United States, okay? Perfect. And how did you enter the United States? So generally speaking, the question, how long will a case take, is kind of like the hardest question to answer for us immigration attorneys and immigration paralegals or staff, anyone, on our team. When we get asked this question, how long will my case take? It's really hard to say. Immigration gives you an estimate of how long things should take, but I don't know, they're not really accurate, and you can get in two cases that are the same facts, very similar facts, very same process, and one takes a year and one takes 3 months. And it's the same office adjudicating the case. So it's really hard. There's sometimes no sound or reason with the processing times. So it's a really hard question. But generally speaking, Maria, if you are married to a United States citizen, then he can generally petition for, your spouse can generally petition for you. And then your process will depend on your entry to the United States and your immigration history. If you came to the United States unlawfully, then generally speaking, you might need to leave the US for the process. And you might need a waiver of forgiveness for the time that you've been here unlawfully. But there are some exceptions to that. And in some cases, even if you did come in unlawfully, you are able to apply for your green card here in the United States without leaving. So I would love to talk to you more one-on-one to review your immigration history, so we can have a chat, and I can ask you a lot of questions and give you the best advice. So if you're interested, our number is here. You can send us a message, and we would love to schedule a consultation and talk to you one-on-one. Okay? Perfect. Okay. If you guys are joining on YouTube or on Facebook, please feel free to write your question and I will answer it. And if you're watching the recording of this, it happens a lot. If you're watching the recording of this, not the live show, it's also okay. It's great. Thank you for being here. Just write your comment and I will answer it when I see it. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to do a couple more questions. Okay. Let's pick this one. Can I petition my wife if I'm a student and I have no income? So this question is really, really relevant because it's not enough to be a United States citizen or a resident to petition someone. You also have to show that you can financially support your family member, right? So in this situation, the petitioner is a student. He's not working, from what I'm seeing. There's no income, and he wants to know if he can still do the petition if he doesn't have income and he can't financially sponsor. So generally speaking, if you don't have income, you can also use assets like any property or any cash or any savings or anything like that that you might have. If that is also, you're a student, so that's hard. If you don't have assets, then what you can do is you can use a joint sponsor. So you can have anyone that's a US citizen or a lawful permanent resident join on the petition with you as a joint sponsor. So you would be a sponsor and that other person would sponsor as well. And ideally, it would be someone that is working, that has steady income. The income to show is not extremely high. You just need to show that you make a minimum income. So for a family of two, the income that you would need to show is about $25,000 a year. That's tough if you're a student, right? Because you're not working, you're busy with school, which is totally understandable. But you can find someone that can help you out with that, and be your joint sponsor. Okay, perfect. Okay, let me jump and do one more question, you guys. How long does a petition by a sibling take? Okay, so we've been receiving some questions about petitions by siblings, US citizens, brothers and sisters, petitions. So those are taking a long time. I know I said that it's really hard to determine how long a case can take with immigration, but a petition by a sibling is notably very long. It's the longest wait for any kind of petition. And it depends on where your sibling is from. Okay, so for certain countries, the wait is a little bit longer than the other countries. Um, but in general, in the world of immigration family petitions, there are different levels. So there is what's considered immediate relative petitions, but they're always available. There's no wait. The only wait you have is kind of like processing times, which could be anywhere from 3 months to um, you know a year, just kind of wait a year and a half, just processing times. Or those are immediate category petitions. It could be a US citizen petitioning for their spouse, a US citizen petitioning for their parents, or US citizen petitioning for under 21 minor children. Okay, those are immediate relatives. And then you have everyone else. Okay, everyone else are considered preference categories. And in that area, you have a petition, any green card holder petitioning anyone is a preference category. US citizen petitioning adult children is in there, and siblings petitions are in there. And sibling petitions are the ones that take the most. So some siblings petitions can take anywhere from 10 years to 20 years. If you are a US citizen petitioning a sibling from Mexico, they're going to wait about 20 years. It's honestly insane. Okay. So how long does a petition by a sibling take? It can take a long time. It's a long wait because the number of the green cards are just limited. And unfortunately, but I still recommend to file sibling petitions, because you file it, you forget about it, and then when it comes to be current, if it's still relevant for your family member, for your sibling, and they want to do it, it's like for them, it could be like winning the lottery. Like, oh my gosh, I even forgot about this option. If your siblings is living in a different country. So if you're considering petitioning for your sibling, I know it's not immediate, but it could be something for the long term. And laws can change, and these dates can change. Okay, so I hope I answered that question. Let's see. Malena, oh, I wanted to thank you for your help during my green card process. I received my green card yesterday. Oh, it was approved in just 3 months and 10 days, and the service provided was beyond my expectations. I highly recommend this law office to anyone seeking assistance. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You're the best. I know your case was so quick. Even we couldn't believe it. It's just sometimes it's just there's these unicorns. That's kind of like a unicorn case to get approved in 3 months. It's just beyond our expectations, and I'm so happy for you guys. And thank you so much for taking the time to write this notes. I really appreciate it. Awesome. Um, so let me jump to another question. Irma is asking, if my spouse is in the US as a permanent resident, what are my chances of getting a B1, B2 visa? Okay, that's a really good question. So, a B1, B2 visa is a visitor visa, to those of you the guys that don't know. And if you want to come to the United States as a visitor, you have to show, it's your burden to show that you have what's called a non-immigrant intent, meaning you do not intend to immigrate to the United States. Now, having a spouse that is a resident here in the United States really makes it a little challenging because your spouse is here. So are you not going to come and you know use your tourist visa to live with your spouse? Um, and many times it could be that no, yes, my spouse is a resident, but I am not intending to stay here permanently because I have my reasons, my own personal reasons. But when you go to these interviews for tourist visas, really the let's say the starting point is that in the eyes of immigration is that everyone wants to immigrate to the United States. Everyone wants to get their green card and live here permanently. So when you come to a tourist visa interview, then it's your burden to rebut that presumption that everyone wants to live here permanently, right? And it's sometimes it's a little harder. But we do prepare folks for their tourist visa interviews. So if you want to have an interview prep with us, we'd happy to do it. You can reach out to us and call and schedule a consultation for interview prep. And basically, in this interview preparation, we just review, how to answer these questions for the officer, that the visa officer, because usually you only have between 30 seconds and 2 minutes to answer their questions, and they're very easily denied and refused. So reach out, Irma. We'd love to help you. Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for jumping on our live. And if you are watching this as a recording, thanks for being here. I'm Attorney Yael Brudner, Immigration Attorney Yael, and I wish you guys an amazing end of the week and weekend. Be safe and healthy, and I will be here again next week.